Welcome to Worlds Collide. Please comment, like, and subscribe for more content. Chapter 11. A Bond Forged. I apologize for my temper this evening, I stated once the door closed. Shay shook her head. You were right to speak up. My father intentionally baited you to gauge your reaction. I spoke the truth about my people. I slid my arms around her and drew her close. I meant every word, I whispered. My life is yours. Even though our bond may complicate our life, I wouldn't change anything. I gazed up into her wet eyes and smiled. The words I spoke to Trask in defense of our bond sang with the greatest revelation my soul had to offer. Our meeting began with a reluctant urgency and danger. Now I couldn't imagine a life without her, despite the peril. For once in my life, I felt happy, truly happy. The bed enveloped us both in the softness of a cloud that swaddled us within its depths. It wasn't my preferred choice, but Shay enjoyed it. That night, she slept without moving against my chest. I just lay awake, replaying the evening over in my head while reveling in the soothing vibration that was my bondmate against me. No matter how I rehearsed the evening's events over in my head, I couldn't conceive of any other conclusion. She was right. I had been baited into an outburst to match his. The only satisfaction was the shock on his face when he learned of his grandchild. I drifted off to sleep near the end of the night cycle. I hadn't been asleep long when our door chimed. The suddenness of it caused my eyes to pop open in concern at first, but I calmed when it chimed again. I dislodged myself with care not to wake my mate. It wasn't an easy task, and on 2 occasions, I thought I failed in my attempt. Climbing out of the bed was akin to dragging myself out of quicksand. I snatched my pants from the night before and opened the door on the 5th chime. The door slid aside to reveal Tashar waiting with an expression of impatience. I am here to prepare Shay for her father's summons. She is asleep, I explained as politely as possible. Come back in a couple of hours. Her meeting is in an hour. She started to enter past me, but I blocked her. She is not his to command. I slammed the door in her face and locked it. I stood there and sighed as she kept hitting the chime. I reached up to key the pad. Instead of opening the door, I called Shro. She answered on the 2nd chime. I was a bit surprised to see her unclothed from the waist up, but when in Krathen territory, you do as Krathen do. Tashar is at our door. Could you make her go away, please? I listened for a moment to the sound of Shro confronting Tashar. She had appeared too fast to have bothered to dress. The exchange was brief, but the chiming stopped when I heard Shro threaten to skin her and wear her pelt as a trophy. I smiled and returned to the bedroom, where Shay leaned over the edge of the bed on her crossed arms, watching me lazily, her tail swaying gently. Who was it? Wrong number, I said dismissively. Her communicator buzzed urgently, and she looked at it and frowned. You threatened Tashar? She gave me a questioning look. No, I replied calmly. Shro was the one who threatened to wear her fur as a trophy. I grinned as I climbed back into the bed and began running my fingers through Shay's coat. I leaned closer and bit the base of her ear. Mine. We laughed like kids at the park as we rolled around in the bed, each vying for dominance. We ended the brief respite breathing heavily. The communicator buzzed multiple times, but we chose to ignore it. Only a catastrophic emergency would disturb us. Shay moaned in frustration as she finally answered. Trask's face appeared on the screen, scowling. I knew he could see me in the background, but I didn't care. We need to speak, he uttered after a brief pause as he absorbed the scene. Give me a minute to get dressed, Shay responded with a suppressed snicker as she tried to shy away from my dancing fingers. She looked at me when the screen went blank. You're terrible, she pouted. You provoke him. I smiled, all my sharp fangs visible. Mine! I licked her nose before climbing out of the bed. I trotted across the suite to my room to dress. I chose the Krathen military uniform this morning. I didn't know what to expect, but I assumed it would include formal meetings. There were bound to be consequences for the previous evening. True to my prediction, I met Shro half an hour later in the hall. She hadn't chimed the door, only stood patiently until I emerged. She no longer wore her formal uniform. She eyed the way my uniform fit my smaller frame and grinned. You must possess telepathic abilities, and she quipped. Common sense, I responded. I figured there would be consequences for what happened last night. Shro took the lead through the hall. I fell in step beside her. Grashru has requested an audience. He is the military diplomat assigned to Trask. I arched an eyebrow. That bad? Trask may build ships and run mining operations, but the ships are all crewed by the military, she explained. You are answerable to the military so long as you are under their protection. The section we entered sometime later gleamed with a newness that was the ship. There were no signs of use common to any military hardware. Shro tapped the control panel, and the door slid open to reveal a decent-sized room, large enough to accommodate a handful of people comfortably. The black-furred Krathen looked up from behind his desk with a rehearsed smile. "Welcome, Mitchell." His voice was level and calculated. "Please come in and have a seat." I returned the best smile I could manage in the way of the Krathen. The seat was pleasantly comfortable. Anyone could easily find comfort here. That is the point, I mused. "How can I help you today, Grashru?" I looked up the meaning of the prefix on the way to the meeting. Gra was akin to diplomat. It literally translated to merchant. In this case, the merchant brokered trade deals. "I would ask how you are settling in, but we both know the answer," he began without too many pleasantries. I nodded cautiously. "Miktar Trask is not someone you want to provoke. He commands powerful connections," he stated matter-of-factly. His voice remained calm despite the warning. I nodded. "I am aware." "Good. I have read your file." He keyed the console, and a holographic bust of me appeared with digital documents beside it. "You have adapted well since joining us. You have been assisting in the development of cultural comparison. You even saved one of our own." He looked up at me. "You abandoned your own people, yet you defend them?" I leaned back and steepled my fingers. "I did not abandon humanity. I simply chose to remain with Shay. I chose to help build a cultural database to prevent unfortunate misunderstandings in the future and to learn to be part of your society. Your medical records indicate you were wounded saving Shay." I nodded slowly. "Could you elaborate?" "I was shot with a kinetic round providing cover." "So you shot your own people?" he pressed. "But I did not kill them," I elaborated. "I am a medic, not a combative soldier." Grashru swept a hand through the hologram, and it vanished. "Would you be willing to explain what our people are to expect from your military?" "My knowledge is limited in that area," I said elusively. "But as a medic, you know what you might be called upon to treat," he countered. I shook my head. "Medical training is universal. We are trained in penetrating wounds, burns, or medical emergencies." I leaned forward and rested my hands on the end of his desk. "I will not betray my limited knowledge of military capabilities, nor will I betray any Krathen secrets I might become privy to. To do so could jeopardize my mate." "How can we be sure?" he argued. "What if the only way to save Shay was through betrayal? You have already betrayed your species to bond with her. It benefits both of us for our people to cooperate," I said, leaning back. "I am no longer military." "But you were," he countered, "and knowing death is not the same as welcoming it." I spread my hands expressively and leaned back once more. "I am curious, polite, and friendly by nature. I will help to open diplomatic avenues, but nothing more." "I see," he said finally. "Our conversation has been enlightening." He stood and bowed his head slightly. I mirrored the sentiment before leaving the office. Mitchell had departed before Shay to meet with the military diplomat. Tashar returned to escort her a short time later to meet with her father. She stood at the door nervously, glancing about the hall, expecting someone to chase her away. Shay held no illusions of where her loyalties lay. Tashar had obviously been assigned to her as a means to spy on them. "Well met," I greeted pleasantly as I entered the home. "I assume you have come to escort me to see father." Tashar nodded, and I gestured for her to lead the way. Shay constructed a mental map of the path they took. The halls were straightforward. Each intersection was clearly marked in fleet standard, typical of every ship she had ever been on. Tashar stepped to the side once they reached the command deck. "This is as far as I am allowed." Shay understood what she was about to face. Her father expected obedience and loyalty from everyone, more so from his daughter. Shay drew a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge. She was greeted by a massive, dimly lit room, alive with activity in every corner. Stations lined the wall with two flanking the command chair in the center. The stations illuminated a soft blue glow that filled the room around golden holographic displays. Some showed star charts, while others either displayed weapon systems or engineering diagrams. It was unlike any other ship in the fleet. Trask turned away from the navigation display and projected every sign of warmth toward his daughter. Shay knew it was a show. She had defied him. His pride was wounded, and he would exact his pound of flesh for it. Right now, he chose to put on a show of endearment in front of the naval officers. "What do you think?" He waved an arm in an expressive arc to indicate the new bridge. "This is our most advanced ship to date. We get to witness her test flight before she is commissioned as the new flagship." Shay smiled. "Impressive, father. I have no doubt she will serve the fleet well." He was a hard male, but he enjoyed flattery. It usually put him in a good mood. "You asked to see me?" Trask's expression hardened briefly. "I wanted to show you the future of fleet ships. These new designs will keep our shipyards busy for years to come." Shay followed him to the briefing room in the back corner of the command deck. His expression soured once the door closed behind them. "You are the future of my empire," he stated as he sat in the captain's chair. "You must dissolve your bond before it is permanent. If you wish to keep the child, then we can send it to be raised on one of the colonies." "I will not break our bond," Shay declared stubbornly. Trask flung his arms up. "Then keep him as a pet, but he cannot be your mate. People are already talking." "Then let them talk," Shay snapped back. "I will not relinquish our bond or our child." "Think of your future," he shot back. I owe him my life and the life of our child. Neither would exist without him." Shay's tail lashed in agitation. Trask slammed his fist onto the table angrily. "Listen to me for once. I have cautioned you on every decision you have ever made. You wanted to join fleet. I asked you not to, but when you went against me, I ensured you had the best assignments. I have always fixed your mistakes." "My life has not been a mistake." She began to pace in an effort to release pent-up anger. "I am not you, father. Clearly, if you were anything like me, you would prioritize our people." Trask sat stiff in his chair. "Your human lacks loyalty. He will betray you. He has already betrayed his people." Shay stopped and turned. Her expression was dark and dangerous. It was the one trait she inherited from her father. She could be cold when the need arose. "He will not," she growled. "He chose me." "Did he have a choice?" His words struck like a hammer. Shay faltered but regained her composure. "He chose to save me. He chose to come with me when he could have stayed. He chooses to help us understand his people," Shay roared now. She was furious with her father. He had planted the seed of doubt. Now she wondered if she was trying to convince herself or him. She had taken the bait of a master manipulator. "He may have saved you," he said calmly. "His actions since sound like self-preservation. What would his people have done to him had he not left? His choice to help us understand humans is likely his only chance to return home a hero." "You do not know him, do you, after only a few cycles?" he countered logically. "I will not relinquish the bond," she snarled finally with conviction. "He is mine." The last was a mixture of a growl and hiss. Shay exited the room without another word. Tashar met her outside the command deck, her ears flattening at the sight of Shay. Shay turned on her when she began to follow. "Your services are not wanted," she spat. Tashar stopped and bowed. She had no trouble finding their room. She simply followed the markers. Shay stormed into the room, snarling. I leapt to my feet in alarm. "What happened?" She didn't respond. She simply went into their berth and closed the door. I began to follow her but stopped when I heard something impact the door heavily. It had been enough to send reverberations through the wall. I decided it was best to give her space. She emerged an hour later and lay on the sofa with her head in my lap. She remained silent for a time, and I allowed her to take the time she needed. I had never seen her enraged before, and I dared not press her for an explanation before she was ready. I simply stroked her cheek softly. "Do you regret coming with me?" she uttered eventually. "No," I answered without hesitation. "Do you wish you could return home?" "Not without you." I gazed down at her as I continued to caress her longingly. "What would your people do to you if you returned?" She echoed her father's accusations. She needed to know. Had she ruined his life? I don't know for sure, I admitted. Prison most likely, or they could assume you used some mind control. I reached around and turned her face toward mine in worry. What did your father say? She turned her face back away without a word. I slid from beneath her head gently and settled onto the floor to search her eyes. Her entire expression was awash with a mix of anger, fear, and anguish. Talk to me, I pleaded. She only stared at me, uncertainty written all over her face. I love you, I whispered. Do you? She asked suddenly. How can you? You don't even know me. The words were like a knife plunged into my chest. It left me speechless for what felt like an eternity. I do. I pressed my forehead to hers. You have only to search my eyes if you ever doubt me. I don't love you because I need you. I need you because I love you, and I will spend the rest of my life proving it to you. Shay searched my eyes, observed my face, breathed in my scent. Why? The question was a loaded one. Was she seeking validation or searching for a reason to release me? It is a culmination of small things, I began. The smile that brightens my day. The laugh that makes my heart sing. Your intellect that challenges me. Your compassion that makes me want to be better. Your drive that inspires me to do more. Your eyes like stars floating on the bluest of oceans. I kissed her gently then. I fell in love with you because of all these things. I continue to fall in love with you with every breath I take. I continue to fall in love with you with every heartbeat. We sat with our heads together in silence. I didn't require affirmation from her. I discerned it in her eyes. I was content to remain this way for as long as she wanted. I longed for her touch and truth. No matter where we were or what happened, I would always love her. I couldn't voice the words properly, though I tried. All I knew was that I could only show her by every action I took.
Join us for more from Worlds Collide.